Hey everybody, Farmington Mayor Nate Duckett here. Thank you for tuning into the Mayor's Table. On today's episode, we're here with Farmington Fire Chief David Burke and Gary Groomer to talk about our Farmington Fire Department, our ISO rating, and the 9/11 stair climb. Stay tuned. Hey there, welcome to another episode of the Mayor's Table. I'm Farmington Mayor Nate Duckett, and with me today, we're going to be discussing the Farmington Fire Department, the new ISO rating that's just come out, and the 9/11 stair climb. So my guests today are Farmington Fire Chief David Burke. David, thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
And firefighter Gary Groomer. Gary, you're putting together the 9/11 stair climb. Thank you for joining us to talk about that.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're here at Ricketts Park. People might ask, why are we having a fire department discussion at Ricketts Park? But that deals with the stair climb that we'll talk about here in just a little bit. But I want to kind of kick this segment off and talk with Chief about the Farmington Fire Department, kind of give some people an overview of number of personnel, stations, and then we'll get into the ISO rating. So
Sure.
How many current firefighters do we have working for the city?
So we have 84 operational positions assigned to the fire apparatus. Between 23 and 28 staffed each day, 24 hours, 365 days a year. We don't drop below 23. It's our minimum staffing levels. In addition to that, we have approximately 10 reserves. We have 4 on the wildland side, and then we're hiring 6 for the ARU. That should be operational by next month, mid-next month.
Okay. And the ARU is the alternative response unit that we've talked about here on the
Correct.
show before, where it's kind of that hybrid with a police officer and a firefighter and kind of dealing with the downed subjects that we see here in the city. Is that right?
That was the demo program. We're
Okay.
transitioning it to a more sustainable program. It'll be 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, and our reserves will be manning that.
Great. And we saw some great results, I think, from the demo experience.
Absolutely.
And obviously relieving a lot of the pressure and calls of service to our fire department, the ambulances, and PD, because they're able to address those subjects right there and then. So I think that's been a successful component.
Absolutely.
And interestingly, since we've done the ARU, and we didn't want to get into ARU per se here on the show, but I've seen 3 other communities that I've read online that are doing a very similar program to ours. Some of it deals more with drug use as opposed to alcohol abuse, but we're seeing this model kind of pick up across the nation. So thank you for being a thought leader in that and bringing that to our city.
It's a trend nationwide, and it's kind of along the same lines as the community risk reduction, identifying the big call volume types and trying to find an efficient way to address those, thus leaving the emergent apparatus available for the emergencies and not tied up on other types of calls that we can serve in a more efficient manner.
Sure. You also mentioned the wildland service that we offer, and that maybe you could talk a little bit about that, because that component is also something we can contract out with other communities who are in need of that apparatus and those personnel.
So we basically, when called, either state or federally, we send 2 of our reserves and 1 of our operational personnel. Operation individual is the engine boss assigned to the apparatus to provide the leadership and the support there. But it's basically, when contracted out, we're making money and bringing that back into the city to help sustain that program. The biggest thing is that it's a sustainable program that doesn't require any of the GRT or the tax money to keep it going. But while they're in town, they do a lot of mitigation work for us. Currently, they're working on an area down by Broadway and Miller. They also do a lot of our hydrant maintenance and things like that as well. So they stay busy. They add value to the community, but it's a self-sustaining program by the deployment model that they're on.
Excellent. So 24 hours a day, 365. We got at least 23 firefighters who are there on call. Maybe you can talk a little bit about how many calls of service you guys see on a I don't know, weekly, monthly, annual basis?
Annually, last year we hit about 10,500 calls. It varies on the season on when the peak call time is. Obviously, we're just moving out of the July 4th time frame, and that's a very busy time for us.
Sure.
But in colder weather or when we have big monsoonal flows, things like that, we have a tendency to respond on additional calls those times of year as well. We operate out of 6 stations. We have one station up at the airport. So the 5 stations in town, that's an FAA requirement, so we keep that one staffed to FAA requirements as well.
Sure.
And then the rest of the organization is strategically placed throughout the city.
Sure. Well, I want to kind of get into the ISO rating. And the ISO rating, when that stands for what is ISO?
So it's the Insurance Service Organization, and they provide a public protection classification, which is kind of our grading sheet on where we're at based on providing services.
Sure. How quickly you're responding to services.
It has dispatch, it has our response modeling where our units are placed, and it has water are kind of the key areas that it's evaluating.
Okay.
But it breaks down into report writing and follow-up for fire investigations and things like that as well. It's got several components.
You said it's kind of a report card for how we're doing as a fire department and taking care of the services needed by our city. Is that?
And then that report card correlates to what the Insurance Service Organization recommends as the risks associated with providing insurance for both industrial and residential.
So if you've had any review with your insurance agent in regards to your personal policy or even your commercial policy, there's an ISO rating that's associated with your building. And a lot of that, they base it on your zip code, and because the ISO ratings are associated with those zip codes. And certainly I can tell you from having done insurance in Colorado versus here in New Mexico, if you're up in the mountains of Colorado, that ISO rating is a lot higher, which causes your insurance rate to be higher as well. But we were at a 3 prior to this most recent update, and now we've actually improved, so we're at 2, and the lower the score, the better.
Yes. 1 is the best, but as a 3, we're one of only, as a 2, we're one of only 1,597 similarly rated departments within the entire nation.
Wow.
So
Good job,
it's
Chief.
a good thing.
Way to go, guys.
And this has a lot to do with my predecessor and putting things in line. This isn't just an overnight fix. This is something that the department has been working on for a long time to facilitate this move. So
Sure.
it's a success of the entire organization.
Is it kind of like an accreditation type process too? Is there any of that involved in that type of thing, or?
Accreditation's a different process,
Okay.
but this one is kind of it has the direct results. It ties directly back into the community related to what the insurance rating, what they pay for insurance. Whereas an accreditation is a compare and contrast model to other organizations to ensure that you're accredited or you're providing the standards. Yes.
Right. And when you have a lower ISO, just from my understanding of the grant process and things that we go through to try and get federal monies, does a better ISO rating get you more opportunities for federal money?
It does, and it also helps us with the state fire fund as well.
Okay.
So we won't see it on this next year cycle, but the year cycle after that, we'll see a bump in our state fire fund as well.
Good deal. Well, I'm going to transition here, Gary. We're here at Ricketts Park. 2 years ago, we had the 9/11 stair climb that you and Phil Logan, I believe, and probably some others, helped kick off here in our city. We wanted to kind of give you an opportunity to kind of tell the public about the 9/11 stair climb, its background, and how people can get involved. So tell us, how did it get started here in Farmington?
So it got started here in Farmington is a few groups went to SJSCI, which is kind of our training center. There's for fire departments, you kind of go out there and learn the latest, greatest, what's going on throughout the cities everywhere else, right? They came back, they said, hey, they have this great event. It's the 9/11 Memorial Stair Climb. It's put on by the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. And they said, we should do that here. And so I said, yeah, we should do that. And I kind of got hooked as the guy to do it.
Good job.
Which was awesome. It's a great deal, great organization. They were founded basically after 9/11 to help remember fallen firefighters, not only from 9/11, but from thereafter. So they set up a ring of honor that for any line of duty death, they go to Emmitsburg and they get their name put on the wall there. And that's just a kind of a resting place for that person.
Got it. So obviously it's a this way we operate ours here, and you can tell us more about it. But the idea is that obviously we're paying respects to the 343 firefighters who lost their lives on 9/11. Is that correct?
So that's the main part of it today. It's been so many years since then. It's amazing how many kids we had come out that first year that were 18 years old and weren't even born when that kicked off. So we kind of took it upon ourselves to use that day to re-educate, or some people that have been there, and then educate the people that weren't around then of what happened. And that's how, to me, you ultimately remember somebody as being a military veteran. There's a lot of guys, they look at you and they say, oh, well, you were a hero, you went and fought in this war. And I don't really look at myself that way. They give you all kind of medals and awards, and that's great. To me, the guys that paid that ultimate sacrifice, those are the true heroes. I don't think there's a guy around that wouldn't give an award back to bring a guy back.
Absolutely.
And so to me, that's the day to remember those guys. Not only those guys, but this year we're remembering Lieutenant Shad Rower, who was our line of duty death last year. So anybody from the year prior gets submitted into Emmitsburg the next year. So this year, myself and Killian Carey will be escorting his mom to Emmitsburg for that ceremony.
Oh, wow.
It's a 4-day long ceremony, and they've got different events each day, and that's totally paid for from events like this that are done throughout the United States.
Well, I would certainly comment in regards to Shad and the memorial that we've set up out at Berg Park along the river. It's a beautiful setting. Thank you guys for helping us put that together here as well. But if people were interested in getting involved in 9/11 Stair Climb here in the city of Farmington, what day does that happen on?
So this year we're going to do it on September the 14th, which is the Saturday after 9/11. We're going to do it right here at Ricketts Park. Check-in's going to be at 7 o'clock in the morning, so they can get checked in. We got a great opening ceremonies. And then the step-off time is going to be, it's like 8:43. That's when the first tower was hit. And we're actually going to step off. There'll be 3 waves. I can't just send 300 people into the stands. So we actually do it in waves, 3 different waves.
Okay.
And so they come out. We have other side events. We have stuff like Turnout Gear Challenge, where we'll get the next group that's waiting, they get to try turnout gear on and race for that.
That's the firefighter's uniform, correct? The turnout gear?
So our bunker gear that we wear in the fire, they're going to put that on. We also have tons of stuff for kids. So we got a huge touch a truck event.
Okay.
So Farmington PD will be there, San Juan County Sheriff's Office, the county fire will be there, Bloomfield Fire. We'll have some trucks there. Kids love to jump on that stuff and then talk with the police officers, firefighters. Over here at the batting cage area, we're going to have a kids combat challenge. It's kind of like the challenge that we have to do to get on with the department.
Okay.
So we have gear that they get to put on, full fire gear that they get to put on and run through an obstacle course that's similar to the obstacle course.
Do they got to drag a hose and
they drag a hose, they pull a dummy, they go through a tunnel. So it's a really cool thing for the kids to come out and do. We got some jump houses. So I know parents want to go, oh, well, there's an additional cost. There's no cost to that. We take care of all of it. Bring your kid out, climb some stairs, and have fun. So the significance is 110 stories. That's how much they're going to go.
I was going to ask that.
And so that's going to go to the top, basically going to the top of one of the towers.
And so just looking at these bleachers here, Gary, I mean, is one time up, is that considered one story?
About 10 to 12 stairs is what they consider technically a story.
Okay.
So I've walked this several times to figure out the route and how many. So what I like to tell people is you're going to do 110 stories. Only the ups count. The downs are all free. They're freebies. So obviously if you climb to the top, you'd have to climb back down. So it's all uphill. But it's great. It's a good time. We have, obviously water and everything for everybody to stay hydrated. We'll have EMS on hand here, as well as tons of firefighters.
I think it's definitely for a great cause. It's a family-friendly event here in the city. I think also it's the physical challenge component. 110 stories, that you're going to feel that the next day. So for individuals who are out there looking for that type of physical challenge, it's a great place to do that as well. And do you guys time it?
It's not timed. So a lot of people think it's a race type deal. It's really to remember the fallen. So out on the field, we actually end up putting 343 flags out on the field.
Okay.
You'll have pictures of all the guys. You walk around with a badge representing one of the firefighters. After you finish the climb, you'll come down. This is actually the down right here. You come down, you walk back along the catwalk, you cross over onto the field, and at home plate we have a bell. You ring the bell, and that's when you ring the bell, you say the firefighter who you just walked for. And to me, that's how those guys continue to live on by you remembering them. and you climbing for them that day.
Oh, that's a great.
So
that's a great finish to
it's,
that.
it's a good feeling when you kind of walk across there and ring the bell and say that guy's name or that lady's name and remember them. And you know, you can go back. I actually contacted the family of the person who I walked for last year and reached out to them, and she was just amazing and just real grateful that we're still out here every day.
Gary, thank you for kind of taking the lead on that and bringing that. Now this is the second year that we will have done that here in the city of Farmington. If people were interested in signing up, where do they need to go?
So we're going to post a little deal where they can go right on here, but it's events.firehero.org/Four Corners.
Okay, so it gives you a link so you can sign up, get involved. Again, September 14th is the date. 7 a.m. is registration, or they can sign up ahead of time.
Sign up ahead of time.
So get you checked in at 7 o'clock that morning, and then kick off everybody or the first group at 8:43. So, all right.
The other thing is, anybody who feels that might be a little too challenging, we still want them to come out. We got tons of stuff going on. You can actually go to that same site and register as a virtual climber. So that just means you're a part of the group that, you know, is here. So go online, you can be a virtual climber, come out and support people going up and down the stairs. We need people to do that too. So, you know, just come out and enjoy the atmosphere and the day, and just a day to remember.
Well, great day to get educated, a great day to expose your kids to Farmington Fire, Farmington PD, San Juan, Bloomfield. I'm so glad they're all going to be here for that. Gentlemen, is there anything else you wanted to add to today's episode?
I don't have anything else.
Okay.
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
All right. I have one last thing I want to make sure we bring up, because recruiting is always important to us. If I wanted to be a Farmington firefighter chief, what do I need to do?
So we accept applications online. We have two ways of being hired. One is through our lateral program, and one is through our open hire program. We time our hirings with when the college is going to be running their academy. So we're actually today in the process of bringing on our next open hire.
Okay.
And basically before the first of the year, we'll be opening up for lateral hires. So for the lateral hires, either you have work experience or you've been through the fire academy up at the college, which is a semester-long program up there. Through the open hire, we'll provide that training, and then the EMT to make sure that they're up to both medical and fire standards. So we do open hiring once a year and lateral hiring once a year.
Okay. Good information. Well, thank you for joining us here on the Mayor's Table. I hope you're having a great summer. Please check out the link in order to sign up for the 9/11 Stair Climb, and we'll see you again back here on the Mayor's Table. Thanks for tuning in.